The Temporary Housing Site Inspection Request Quality Assurance Inspector has a very important job. A disaster survivor who has been approved by FEMA for a manufactured housing unit, or MHU, will only receive a unit if the site is determined to be feasible. Therefore, QA personnel should identify any reasonable steps that can be taken to make the site feasible. A few things have already happened before the housing QA begins site inspections. For example, the homeowner has already applied for individual assistance through FEMA and has been approved to receive temporary housing assistance. FEMA has also entered the homeowner's information into a site inspection request, or SIR, form. The first step in the site inspection process begins with the SIR form. Housing QA inspectors may be teamed up in pairs for inspections depending on the event. A QA team will receive a group of SIR packets from their QA supervisor. The packet will include the SIR request form, a landowner's authorization ingress-egress agreement, commonly known as a right of entry form, and a blank USACE site inspection request site sketch and drawing form. The SIR request form includes a space that indicates what type of manufactured housing unit the applicant should receive if their site will accommodate it. The QA team will also have a packet that shows the footprint and layout of each type of MHU unit available for the specific event so that they can ensure the measurements of the correct unit are used during the site visit. The QA team will contact the homeowner to set up an appointment for the site visit. QA teams generally spend about 90 minutes at a site and complete 6 to 7 site visits in a day. This can vary, of course, based on the size and severity of the event and the geography of the region. Upon arrival, the QA should review the information on the SIR form with the homeowner for accuracy and get the homeowner to sign the right of entry form. This form allows FEMA, the Corps, and their contractors to access the site for inspection and eventual placement of a manufactured housing unit if the site is deemed feasible. During the site visit, the QAs work through a checklist to determine if a property can feasibly accommodate the MHU. The end result is a determination of feasible, not feasible, or requires site prep. QA teams look for several items during a site inspection, including the route into site, access to the sewer or septic tank, access to water, access to power, encroaching foliage, and sidewalks. Let's walk through the checklist of items that should be examined during a site inspection and noted on the eventual site sketch if the site is determined to be feasible for unit placement. Check the route into the site. Look for obstructions, including soft soils, ditches more than 1 foot deep, large tree limbs, fences, and power lines. Consult the owner to see if certain obstructions, like tree limbs, fences, gates, or mailboxes can be moved if necessary to accommodate the MHU placement. Scout a site as close as possible to the sewer, ensuring you are at least 10 feet from the existing home. Minimize potential concrete cutting if possible. Tie-ins are permitted, so keep that in mind. Include the house and yard cleanouts, manholes, and sewer lines where only the sewer easement is known. On the site sketch, draw a dashed line and write sewer easement where applicable. Locate and show both the hose bib and water meter. Either one can be tied in, so pick the closest one to the proposed MHU site. Locate and show the nearest transformer and the meter setter on the side of the house. Pick the closest transformer and show the proposed route of the power line. Be sure you do not route electrical wiring over the roof of the house, the intended location of the MHU, or over the driveway. On the sketch, show any trees or bushes that are located in the potential MHU pad or in the route of movement. Indicate which trees or bushes will require trimming. Depending on the location of the event, certain types of trees may need to be noted due to environmental concerns. Show the sidewalks on your sketch. Encroachment of the MHU onto the sidewalks may be permitted by exception only. Ask the applicant if they are able and willing to remove obstacles like cars, fences, or bushes. The last resort is to task the contractor to perform this work. The team will flag the dimensions and measurements for the footprint of the intended MHU once the site has been scoped. If the property is determined to be feasible, the QA team sketches the layout. In addition to all the items on the checklist, be sure to include ingress and egress, distances to all utilities, the latitude and longitude, and the elevation above sea level. Include any special notes on a site-by-site basis to help the installation process go smoothly. If the determination is feasible, then the package for that homeowner and site is moved on to the next stage. If the determination is not feasible, the homeowner will not receive an MHU. If there is any reasonable solution for a feasible determination, QAs should strive to find it. Sometimes QAs may have to get creative about the space. Sites can vary widely, and site preparation may be required as indicated on the SIR form. On some sites that are relatively clear of obstacles, power lines, and sidewalks, it's obvious where an MHU can be placed. Other sites may be overgrown, have several obstacles or existing buildings, and other issues to be considered. The QA team should try to find a solution, if at all possible. If a site is simply not feasible for placement, the QA should indicate that on the form and return it to FEMA. Remember, this means that a family will not receive an MHU, so be very sure that there is no reasonable way that this particular site can accommodate a unit. The QA team will return their completed SIR packet to their QA supervisor for review. The QA supervisor will then turn in completed and reviewed packets to FEMA. FEMA will generate a work order from here, and the next step in the haul and install mission, getting a unit from the staging area to an inspected site, will begin.